Welcome to TV Africa News. Thank you so much for joining us and always being part of us. This is Africa Today. My name is Nahabi Kajura, but first are the headlines. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni sets a new target for Uganda's economy after 36 years of liberation. IGP Ochola welcomes army officers deployed to police. Upcoming negotiations on a new ceasefire about the Ethiopia war. In our sports today, Salah and Gabon, the heroes, as a favorites claim shootout win to reach quarterfinal. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Africa Today starts with one of our top stories. Now, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has said the country should now work towards attaining an upper rather than a lower middle income status in a few years. Now, Uganda had envisioned attaining the upper middle income status by 2040, and to achieve this, the key medium-term target was attaining a lower middle income status with a per capita income of $1,039 by 2020. We have more on this report. Speaking during the 36th Liberation Day celebrations at Kololo Independence Grounds on Wednesday, Museveni said had it not been for the coronavirus pandemic that hit the entire world, the country would have attained the desired lower middle income status by last year. Museveni said that in July, the GDP per capita will be about $980, that is very near the middle income status, which is $1,039. He added that in July, the country shall be about $50 short of the lower middle income status and would have achieved middle income status if it had not been for COVID. Giving an account of the last 36 years since the NRM captured power in 1986, Museveni said Uganda's economy has grown by leaps and bounds, adding that the country will continue on this trajectory. The president, however, noted that he cannot be carried away by the achievements the country has got, noting that he wants the economy to grow at a faster rate than it is now. Museveni reminded the country of the 4 sectors of wealth creation, including commercial agriculture, services, ICT, and industries. He said this will ensure the country attains the upper middle income status. Away from that, the Inspector General of Police, John Martins Okoth-Ochola, has welcomed the UPDF officers deployed to serve in police. He said in a statement that the new appointments to the police force, saying these are bringing a diverse experience to their new roles. Take a look at the story.
President Museveni on Tuesday appointed Major General Geoffrey Kasigazi as the new Deputy Inspector General of Police, whereas Major Tom Magambo was appointed the new Criminal Investigations Director. The IGP welcomes and congratulates the Deputy Inspector General of Police and Director CID and called them to delivering leadership and stewardship of the UPF as they protect and serve their motherland. Whereas many members of the public have always complained and argued that by appointing serving military officers, President Museveni is militarizing police, IGP Ochola in 2019 had a different view. He said the UPDF officers bring a great wealth of knowledge to law enforcement body that will help build capacity. After appointment as State Minister for Internal Affairs, General David Muhoozi last year defended as the move to appoint serving army officers in police and any other institutions in government. A few years ago, President Museveni defended the move to deploy UPDF officers in police, arguing that the law enforcement body had been infested with weevils that he was weeding out.
Away from that, moving on in our top stories, the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, with effect from 1st March, will commence a 1-month fisheries licensing activity, which includes a registration, license issuing, vetting, and application that will be followed by compliance enforcement. We have more on this report.
In her address to the press at the Uganda Media Center, Honorable Helen Adowa, the State Minister for Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, said that all participants shall be vetted for compliance to fisheries rules and regulations before licenses are issued, where non-compliant participants will be deleted from the register and will be advised to appeal to the Chief Fisheries Officer or the Minister of Fisheries within 30 days.
All applicants shall be vetted, and this one is very important, especially to the fishermen, as we enroll on licensing. There are so many conmen out there who will come and lie you that you can pay money through them, and after paying money through them, you can be able to get a license. I want to warn those that are going to get licenses from unauthorized persons. All applicants shall be vetted in open place, especially in the announced landing sites. There are going to be meetings in different fishing districts. The RDCs, DPCs, LOC5s of all our fishing districts, and the district fisheries officers will be involved and will accompany the technical people coming down to the ground to license. So anyone who calls you and says he knows how to give you a license, if you pay money to them, you will lose your money.
The Honorable Minister further stated that all persons to be licensed will provide a tax identification number obtained from the Uganda Revenue Authority, a national identification card for nationals, passports for non-citizens, and a previous license for those fishers renewing their licenses. However, failure to pay for licenses in time, one will be required to pay for arrears that may be paid in a phased manner each year.
All persons to be licensed shall provide tax identification numbers. This is obtained from any nearest URA office or agent. And again, this is very important. Before, I have got this complaint where the fishermen say somebody collected their money and disappeared. Please go to the authorized and office of the URA or official agent. Identification documents required include national ID. For Ugandans, you will provide your national ID. For non-Ugandans, you provide your passport photocopies. And if need be, you will be asked to provide and show original passport. Previous year, a license for those fishers who are renewing their licenses are also a requirement. If you are renewing your license, you have to show what you had previously. For those fishers who fail to pay for their licenses in time, they will be required to pay in arrears.
All fisheries licensing fees payments shall be done in accordance and as directed by the Uganda Revenue Authority, where assessment of all licensees shall be conducted on the Uganda Revenue Authority official website.
Well, thank you so much, reporter Kachanchu. Africa Today takes a quick break. We shall come back with the international news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In our international news, Ethiopia's Prime Minister has said there will be negotiations on a ceasefire between his government and the rival Tigray forces, who have been waging war for almost 15 months. Now, this was revealed by the chairman of a diaspora group that had a private meeting with him. Take a look at this story.
The chairman of the American-Ethiopian Public Affairs Committee told the media on Tuesday that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed was contemplating the option of negotiations on a ceasefire between Ethiopia's government and Tigray forces. He added that Abiy has never said so publicly, as international mediation efforts continue amid one of the worst humanitarian crises. Mesfin Tegenu revealed that he discussed privately with the Ethiopian chief of government on Saturday. The man described the tone and the 5-hour meeting with Abiy as a very earnest desire to stop this thing if the other side is also willing. Mesfin reported that the Prime Minister said that there will be reasonable negotiations that will keep the interest of the integrity of the nation first, and the new US Special Envoy who visited Ethiopia last week would have ideas about the process. There was no comment on the chairman's account from Abiy's spokeswoman or from the Tigray Forces spokesman. The Tigray People's Liberation Front announced that it had resumed fighting with the federal government allies on Monday, citing a move compelled by repeated attacks. The fighting has been blamed for the latest delays in aid delivery to Tigray, along what is considered the only open land route for humanitarian deliveries. The United Nations last week said food distribution in Tigray has reached its all-time lowest, while more than 50,000 children are thought to be severely malnourished.
Apart from that, President Lazarus Chakwera dissolved his entire cabinet late on Monday. Now the moves comes as 3 of his now former ministers face charges. President Chakwera indicated a new cabinet will be announced within the next days. In a televised address on Monday, January 24th, Malawian President Chakwera announced all the functions of the cabinet reverted to him until a new one is appointed. As he sacked his government, the president vowed to confront all forms of lawless conduct by public officials. The moves comes after 3 of his ministries faced charges. The former Minister of Lands, Kezi Supwa, was arrested in a bribery case. The Labour Minister, Ken Kadondo, had been accused of diverting COVID funds at the Energy Minister of meddling with fuel deals. All have denied the allegations. Since he was elected in June 2020, Chakwera's presidential tenure has been tainted by corruption accusations. Last August, he sacked the country's energy minister, who was arrested on corruption charges. And just recently, the Conference of Catholic Bishops and Public Affairs Committee called for the president to relentlessly fight corruption. President Chakwera indicated a new cabinet will be announced within the next days. Moving on, in our international news, the United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres said on Tuesday that more than 50 million people are affected by urban conflicts across the globe. Now he was opening a Security Council debate on how to protect civilians caught up in urban conflict. We have more on this report.
Speaking at the Security Council debate, the United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres explained that urban warfare puts civilians at risk of sieges and blockades, paving the way for starvation. It also forces millions of people into the long road to exile. He said that in urban areas from Afghanistan to Libya, Syria or the Central African Republic, city dwellers face a great risk of being killed or injured. Antonio Guterres added that the use of explosive weapons in crowded areas and the grave psychological trauma it leaves are just 2 instances, and mentioned last year's fighting in Gaza between Israel and Hamas militants, which left dozens of schools and healthcare facilities damaged and nearly 800 people were left without piped water. He said that in Afghanistan, an explosive attack outside a high school in the capital Kabul last May killed 90 students, mainly girls, and injured an additional 240 people. Ghanaian Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia also took part in Security Council debate on ways to protect civilians caught up in urban conflicts. Bawumia said that violence extremist groups including Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda in North Africa or Al-Shabaab in Somalia revealed the threat posed to civilian lives. While attempts have been made to get state-supported combatants and armed groups to abide by the rules of war, he said many conflicts in Africa continue to involve civilian combat and often result in scapegoating of the civilian populations, including using them as human shields. The United Nations chief stated that accountability for serious violations of international humanitarian laws was essential. Antonio Guterres also urged member states that they must demonstrate the political will to investigate and prosecute alleged war crimes to the maximum extent.
Away from that, jihadists' attack in northern Ivory Coast have ramped up hostility towards the Fulani, a mainly Muslim ethnic group that some accuse of providing the bulk of the raiders. Now, in the absence of claims of responsibility for the Kafolo attacks, the Ivorian authorities have said they were the work of foreign nationals.
Friction and suspicion are almost palpable in Kafolo, a small town near the border with Burkina Faso, where jihadists have struck twice in less than 18 months, killing 16 soldiers. The army has established a large camp at the entrance to Kafolo, and a few visitors are greeted by a watchtower overlooking the dusty trail leading to the town. In the shade of a great tree, the air fresh and dry in the Hamatan wind of the morning, the village chief Bamba Tiemoko said the first attack in June 2020 had had dramatic repercussions. He said that people were frightened and it was the first time that this had happened to them, and people stopped going into the fields or fishing. More locally, the language is veiled, but the finger usually gets pointed at Fulani semi-nomadic herders who were scattered across several countries in West Africa and often across the porous border with Burkina Faso to graze their oxen in Ivory Coast. After the June 2020 attack, many Fulani who had been part of the community left overnight. One Fulani in Kafolo, going by the pseudonym of Amadou, said he had spent 3.5 months in prison in Kahogo, the main city in northern Ivory Coast, because he was suspected of having a link with the attackers. While the strong military presence reassured local people, many deplored the consequences of the attacks, notably for tourism in the region, which has been classified in the red zone by most West African countries, restricting travels to necessary business trips. In the Sahel to the north of Ivory Coast, years of jihadist attacks have ravaged the economies of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger.
Well, thank you so much, reporter. We take a quick break. We shall come back with the business news. Welcome back for the break. You're still watching TV Africa right now. In the business news today, the trial of tycoon Carlos Manuel de São Vicente, a businessman linked to former Angolan President José Eduardo dos Santos, accused of corruption, has been postponed until February 11th as the request of his lawyers.
The money laundering trial of former tycoon Carlos Manuel de São Vicente has been postponed on Wednesday. It was rescheduled on February 1st after a procedure mistake was picked up by his lawyers. According to the judge, the law requires that a convocation should be sent 15 days before the start of the hearing by the prosecutor and the defense, which was not the case. The judge added that the defense only became aware of this on January 18th, which prompted them to request a postponement of the trial. Carlos Manuel São Vicente was taken into custody in September 2020. His arrest followed an anti-corruption crusade launched by Angolan President Lourenço. Francois Zimre, de São Vicente's French lawyer and ambassador for human rights, has deemed the time his client served in prison illegal. Carlos Manuel de São Vicente is married to a daughter of former President Agostinho Neto, and he is one of the many prominent figures under the Dos Santos presidency who are now tarnished by corruption claims. Swiss prosecutors have also alleged that he laundered money while serving as head of a now-defunct insurance company, Triple S Seguro South Africa.
Turning your attention to our health news today, Tropical Storm Anna has caused widespread flooding, power outages, and killed at least one person in Malawi, officials said Tuesday. Now cutting path of wet destruction across southern Africa, the storm has blown from the Indian Ocean island of Madagascar across Mozambique and into Malawi. We have more on this report.
In Madagascar, the storm and earlier rains are blamed for 34 deaths and making an estimated 55,000 people homeless. The Zambezi River area in central Mozambique was inundated by the storm's winds and rains. In southern Malawi, flooding causes many houses to collapse, killing at least one person. Thousands more have been homeless and have sought refuge in churches and schools. A major road has been cut off by flooding and many people are feared trapped by the surging waters, according to Malawi government officials. Charles Kalemba, Commissioner for the Disaster and Management Affairs, told the media that a search and rescue team has been deployed to help people trapped by the flooding, adding that teams from Malawi's military, police and the Malawi Red Cross Society are part of the effort. Power has been cut to most parts of the country as torrents of water carry debris that has knocked down power lines, according to statements issued by the Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi and the Electricity Generation Company. Classes have been suspended for all schools in southern Mali, Education Minister Chikondano Musa has announced.
In our sports news today, Eric Bailly missed a penalty as Egypt beat Ivory Coast in a shootout to book their place in the quarterfinals of the Africa Cup of Nations following a 0-0 draw.
On a bubbly pitch, the Elephants made a bright start, but the Pharaohs finished the first half stronger with Omar Mamouche rattling the bar with a spectacular shot from distance and Mohamed Salah's shot from the edge of the box tipped over. The Ivorians, who lost Frank Kessie to a suspected rib injury, went closest through Ibrahim Sangare's bicycle kick, which was saved. In the second half, Carlos Queiroz' side upped the tempo with Salah finding Amar El Soleya, who wastefully lashed a shot over and substitute Trezeguet sending a shot wide. The Elephants brought on Jeremy Boga and Wilfred Zaha, and the Crystal Palace man went close to breaking the deadlock with a shot that was saved, with keeper Mohamed El Shenawi going off injured as a result. In extra time, the Egyptians created the better opportunities, with Trezeguet again wasteful and Ahmed Sayed having a shot saved. In the penalty shootout, Bailey's spot kick was saved by substitute keeper Mohamed Abu Gabal, and it was left to Salah to slot in the winning penalty to win the shootout 5-4 and set up a quarter-final clash with the North African rivals Morocco on Sunday, January 30th in the Ahmadou Ahidjo Stadium in Yaoundé.
Thank you so much for being a little days from where we started from. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.